This is lesson number 5. Again, this is a customer horse. This isn't a horse that I've had very long. This is literally the 5th time I've been around this horse or touched this horse. So, he just keeps amazing me each and every day, that how gentle he is and how smart he is. And we're up here in this square calving pen again. One thing about the progression on this horse is that, the more he's wanting to move out and stuff, the pen's getting a little small. But the pen was kind of small to begin with. You could use a little bit bigger pen than what I got here, but I'm just kind of using what I got. Obviously, I keep trying to find a good spot for my phone to hold still in these dang panels, but this one's got kind of a glare on the video, so I do apologize for that. But this is kind of the end of the week, and so I'm gonna mess with this horse and try and get a lesson in on him, and then I'm gonna just put him back out in the corral with another horse. That way I don't have to try and get up here and keep up with chores while we're gone. So again, starting every day with that foundation and getting these horses to use the thinking side of their brain. No matter what the distractions are, sometimes you get these colts separate from their buddies or from the herd, and they're whinnying and they're kind of looking off over somewhere else. And if you remember this horse, that first day, he was really looking at them bottle calves, and I had a couple kids up in the barn kind of goofing off, and he was looking over there too. And so that's kind of, now that he knows these exercises, it's easier to kind of get him into that thinking mode. And again, that's kind of some phrases and words that I picked up from Phil Haugen's podcast, Be Your Best Horsemanship. Man, I'd recommend listening to that if you got time to listen to podcasts. That guy, he's originally from Killdeer, North Dakota, which is just a couple hours north of me. And I guess I knew his nephew real well, and so it's kind of a neat connection. But I do appreciate that guy's content that he's turning out. So I just get on this horse right away. I mean, from the ground, he was doing well. I just made a circle or two. He did exactly how I asked him. So I'm just right away going to jump up on his back. And again, I'm just going to transition. I'm just going to, more and more every day, I want to transition into me being on his back and continuing to build on this foundation. And again, in that last video, I had talked about moving on, when a horse is ready for the next step or the next part of the foundation of the building. And again, like I kind of said in there, is just kind of when he's not fearful anymore. This horse really doesn't have a lot of fear of anything. He's super gentle, real easy to work with. So if I'm gonna get him to go around in these circles, I'm just gonna do it from his back, get him to follow his nose from his back, and stop with one rein. And obviously here today, I thought I'm gonna start trying to stop him with two reins and getting him to back up a little bit. When I want him to back up, I mean, I'm not expecting a lot out of him, and I just want him to give into the pressure a little bit. I mean, if they give into it a bunch, that's great. But some horses are just like, what in the world? And so if they kind of waddle backwards, or if they kind of move a foot backwards or anything like that, I let go of that pressure just to reinforce that in their mind that is what I was asking. That's part of being a good communicator on my part, is releasing that pressure and let him know that's exactly what it was that I was asking for. So as he gets better at it, I'm going to ask him a little more and more every time. Again, walking him in them circles, I'm using my inside foot or my inside hand as my gas pedal. Something about that is we're at a rodeo this weekend here, and my daughter's horse is he kind of doesn't look at that first barrel right away, and so we had a lady give us advice about how she used to make this same horse. She'd use her inside foot to make him look at the barrel, and I thought that was ironic, because that's exactly what I'll do to these colts to get them to turn like that direction. Like if I'm turning him to the right and he's not following his nose like he should be, I'm going to take my inside foot and kind of get him in the ribs, collect him up, and get him to follow his nose. That's about the same thing with this barrel racing. And so what we're doing here right now today, I mean, I don't know where this horse is going. He's owned by a barrel racer. I'm pretty sure he's probably going to be running a barrel pattern in his future. But that is why I started training horses in this method, was because I keep trying to think of what's going to make this horse more successful or easier for the next person to train. And I do think that getting them to follow their nose and using that inside foot as your gas pedal is about the best way to do that, because at the same time that they're following their nose, they're bending in that rib cage, and anyway, it's just kind of a connection I had made there. So that's kind of what I was doing on his back. Again, had him saddled up the day before here, and so that's kind of where I'm going with this. I just threw a blanket on him. I'm gonna lead him around here a little bit, not really pushing him in a circle, but just gonna walk him and lead him, and just keep him nice and calm and freed up in here. And I don't want him to just start trying to guess what I'm gonna do next, I guess, if that makes a sense. It's kind of like scoring a horse in the roping box. Every time you back into the box, that horse is guessing that you're gonna run a steer. And that's kind of the same thing you'll notice these colts in a round pen, and even in this pen, is that they get used to you, let's say, petting on them, doing an exercise, jumping or getting on their back or what have you. Then when you get down, they might kind of already guess, like, okay, it's my turn to run in a circle. So they might start trying to take off. So sometimes I just lead these colts in a circle just to keep them from trying to guess what I'm going to do next. I just want them to wait on my command, I guess. And as hard as that makes it, seem, that is kind of what we're doing here with these horses, is training them to just wait on our command. So anyway, this horse is doing good. Had him cinched up yesterday. I kind of talked about how I like to cinch him up. I do maybe pull it into him a little bit. This horse is real gentle. I know he's probably not going to buck. He's not going to try and throw a fit, but still, you never know what can set him off. So I get it snug up against his belly, back cinch is snug. And then before I do crawl up on him, I'm going to keep taking it up hole by hole, and we're just going to keep working on that foundation. As soon as I start to work up my courage here, we'll get further on in the video. But I basically start to get on him the same way I start to get on him bareback. I'm gonna jump around. I'm on side to side. I might even jump and hook my foot in that stirrup. Maybe just a toe, but I'm just gonna get him used to, like, hey, when I jump, expect a little weight to be pulled on this side or on this stirrup or by the horn or whatever. And my goal, again, my goal with this exercise, not really like to make this horse do this in one day, Well, my goal with this exercise is that these horses will just stand there and let you on and off them. And I think that was something I talked about maybe in one of them earlier videos, was that, you know, I believe if you can get a horse to stand still for you to get on and off safely, no matter what happens in between, you can kind of deal with it. But if you cannot get on that horse, it doesn't matter how good he rides. It's not a good situation. I mean, I've had horses come that were broke to death, but the people were scared to get on him because he wouldn't stand still, and he was kind of wanting to react and move away. And sometimes I'm a little more scared to get off of those kind of horses, because it's just like, I feel like they're just waiting for you to swing a leg over so they can kick back or pull away, or, you know. I think I've had just as many wrecks getting off of horses as I have trying to get on them. So anyway, I do try to emphasize this mounting a lot. As you can tell, I still ain't got on this sucker, but we're working on it. I want to make sure that he's going to stand still. And one time I rode some horses for a guy, and my dad picked him up, and I had no idea who the guy was or what he looked like. Never met him. He had just talked over the phone. And so when my dad brought these horses, he said, do you know what this guy looks like? And I said, no, I guess I don't. And he said, and he held his hand up about chest high, and he said, he's about this tall. And then he held his hands out to the side, and he said, he's about this wide. And I got a kick out of that, because I was like, man, that's not your typical Colt owner, guy that wants a couple 2-year-olds broke. But I just thought, well, in that instance, I need to work on these horses to stand still so that this guy can get on and off them. Same thing goes true with, I know the gal that owns this horse is tough, and I know she's handy. She could slip up and on this horse pretty easy. But I'm still going to make it easy for the next person that trains him. I want him to just stand still, just like I got them 2 Colts for that other guy to really stand still so that they could get on him. Now, to bring that story full circle, that guy did show up after 30 days, and he got on and off them both in the corral there, and rode them both, and he was plumb happy. I mean, that is what made a customer happy, was that those horses were well behaved on the ground. They stood still, and I mean, they maybe didn't ride the best, because, well, I just be honest, I probably wasn't that good of a horse trainer. Not saying I am, but I think I'm a lot better than I was 15 years ago. And but he was happy that he could catch him, saddle him, and he could just get on him and ride him around in the corral, and he was plumb happy. So that's something I keep in mind when I get these horses saddled, and I don't just try to slip up on them and get to riding them. I want to make for darn sure that this horse is comfortable with me jumping up and down, putting weight in the stirrup, and swinging a leg over that saddle. Because 9 times out of 10, I swing my leg over that saddle and I can't find the dang stirrup with my other foot. So it takes a little banging around, and sometimes horses don't like that. That's usually kind of a creates a reaction out of them, and something that we just got to keep working on. But I stepped in some crap, I guess, is what I went and scraped my boot off there in the panel, and I just want to make sure that my foot is gonna be in that stirrup secure and safely, and just in case anything happens. So like I said, I like to jump and just hook my foot in the stirrup because I'm always trying to think of the next person in line, whether that's no matter the body type or what kind of person is getting on this horse. I want him to stand still. So I might get up on him kind of like an old fat guy, but I don't know who's going to be riding this horse in his future. So that's just how it's going to be. I just kind of realized that my saddle was just a little loose there, and I don't know about you guys, but getting on and off this other side, my body isn't quite like it used to be. My right leg doesn't lift up there the same way that it used to. So when I do it on this side, these horses got to be gentle for me to even try it on this side, because like I said, honestly, my leg just doesn't bend up there into the stirrup like it used to 10 years ago. And so on him, I did end up getting on him from that other side, but I had to grab the stirrup, stick my foot in it, and then I started to do the exercise. But if them horses are just a little flighty on that side, I try not to, mainly because I got to know my body and my limits too, and I just don't feel like I can safely get on and off that with that leg anymore, if they're going to be a little bit reactive on that side. So I'm just finding a good spot for this horse to stand still. I'm not trying to sneak up on him. I mean, he is kind of moving his feet a little bit, but I'm not going to get on him until his feet are standing still. And I know that's what takes a little time, but again, when I think of people paying us to ride horses, they're not paying you for your time that you're putting into them. They're paying you for your patience that you're putting into these horses. So you got to be patient. You got to be patient with these horses until they do what you're asking. In this regard, I guess, again, like I said, going back to that moving on question and when is it time to take the next step with each horse. Yeah, it does overlap with certain things, it's that next step kind of overlaps, but I just think when my foot's in that stirrup and I'm midair and I'm not securely on the ground, I'm not securely on that horse's back, that is a step that I don't like to just move on, because then you're going to spend the next, I don't know, however many times getting on off that sucker, trying to get him over that moving around with you. So I do just take a little bit more time, have a little more patience with them on this layer of the foundation. But again, just going back in between each exercise, making him move them circles, follow his nose. I don't know how many laps he's went around this thing in a circle, but he's getting in a bunch, and this is kind of the longest day, the longest lesson that he's had. But again, like I said, I think this video is maybe 22 minutes or 23, whatever it is, and them other videos only being 10 to 12 to 14 minutes long. I know it doesn't seem like you're putting a lot of time into these horses, and sometimes I do feel a little guilty, like I'm not getting enough time into them. Like, maybe I should block off an hour and just ride the snot out of this thing. But again, when I started thinking about it, that I'm not getting paid to put my time into this horse, that I'm getting paid to put my patience into this horse, then it makes me feel better, I could have done all this on day one and had him going and whipping and a spurring and getting him riding. But I want this horse to just be as good as he possibly can be for the next trainer. So here I do kind of get up in there on that opposite leg, but again, it's because I know exactly this horse is going to be super gentle. He brings his nose around, touches my leg, so I get off. I quit the exercise. Remember, that's from day one. That's kind of been his way of communicating to me that's kind of enough. And even if he was just reaching around because he was curious and touched my leg, I still get down so that he knows, like, oh yeah, that's that cue. Now I remember. So getting on and off him now. I don't want to get on him and just go to riding him around in circles super hard. I'm getting on him, and that's exactly what I wanted to do. So I get off him, give him a pet, let his mind kind of soak all that in. Like, hey, that's all this guy wants to do is get on and sit on my back. I think if back in the day when I first started these horses, I used to get a kick out of getting on them and just hanging on, just getting on them as quick as I could you know, maybe that first day or the second day, and just hanging on and then seeing what happens. But I don't like that anymore. So you know, even if I just sit in that saddle for a second or two and kind of get the reaction that I was hoping for. I just get off and let that sink into his brain, because you know what? I could unsaddle this horse, go turn him out for a week, and I do believe that I could catch him, saddle him up, and get on him just like I did, without having to worry about him forgetting how the whole thing goes. Again, one thing I do notice here is that when I get on and off him, I do want to flex that head around. You know, I'll kind of pull on that lead rope a little bit till he gives me his head. I want him looking at me and having that head around there, because that is the stop position. That's the that's the stop sign. That's what we've been teaching him since day one. For him to reach around, touch my leg, that means stop. For me to pull on one rein, have his head come around, that means stop. Same thing when I get on and off him, I'm pulling that head around, and that's letting him know that that is the stop sign. That's where we want him to stay and not be moving around. He took it really well. I feel like I spent some time getting on and off him and just moving him just a little bit, not a ton, but that's enough.